Hey guys, welcome to SJU. Over the weekend, one of the greatest Dome-related moments of our lifetime happened on Saturday. The DC Fandome happened, and whatever they're doing with the dumpster directly outside my apartment aside, we're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it. We're going to recap. We're going to give our thoughts, our feelings, and then I want to hear back from you guys. So make sure you hang out and get those feels in the chat. I want to hear what you guys thought of the DC Fandome. And then we got a little special Bill and Ted related treat from Eric Goldman. Speaking of Eric Goldman, hi Eric Goldman.
Hello there.
Hey, Danielle Radford, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hey there, and Billy Business.
Hello.
Okay, let's jump into it, guys. We'll sort of talk overall thoughts about the event and stuff here in a minute, but this was a really cool use of, I don't know, the COVID reality of it all, where it's like, okay, we can't have people, we've got to create a virtual event. This is it. Like, this is, I really think, the textbook of what stuff like this looks like moving forward. So let's just jump in to all the big stuff that happened and let's chat about it. Let's start off with this trailer for the Batman. Because I thought this looked rad. I watched it like 10 times. We got first looks of Catwoman, Penguin, Riddler, Gordon. We got the black eye makeup that never seems to get shown in a Batman movie. As well as the additional information that Matt Reeves revealed that the HBO Max TV spinoff about the Gotham PD, and specifically about a cop sort of trying to redeem himself, will be set the year before the movie. So this is like a Batman Year 2. That show's going to be kind of a Batman Year 1 is going off in the periphery, I think. So jump in, you guys. Reactions, the Batman trailer.
Okay, first of all, so I don't remember who tweeted this, and I wish I could, but someone tweeted, the bisexuals are going to be annoying today. And we are. But the combination of the eye black, which is amazing, and I'm we joke about the eye black all the time. I think it's a kind of a common trope to make fun of. I like that they took a second for us to actually get to see what that looks like on a very sad man. Catwoman looks amazing. And also, I brought this up 40 times before we got on here. I will bring it up again. That's Colin Farrell and not Richard Kind. That's not another human. They took okay. I think what they did with his makeup is stupid. Him as Penguin, if you have not seen it yet, it looks amazing. The prosthetic work is, dumb good, but also, just real L's for uggos these days. Like, for those of us who just look like regular people, like, guys, we need those out of, like, we need to be the Penguins. We need to be, like, stop making pretty people ugly. It's our time.
If Zac Efron ever plays the Blob in an X-Men movie, I quit. I'm leaving the space.
Oh, it's coming.
Not fair.
It's funny because remember we were like, oh, we're going to get sexy Penguin. Like, no, you're not.
Nope.
But
Eric, you and I were tweeting back and forth on Saturday night. Mm-hmm. I want to know, because in my mind, the first Bat eye makeup, roughly, and maybe it's up to interpretation, was at the end of Batman and Robin. It's when they're all huddled around Alfred, and they had just put in the McGregor syndrome cure, and everyone looks pretty ragged. But if you look, like, under Chris O'Donnell's eyes, like, it's clearly the smear of eye makeup. I think, Jonathan, do you have that image?
It's like a little bit of a remnant there, I'd say.
I feel, when I was a kid, I specifically, like, I don't know if it's just the Mandela effect, but I really thought, I was like, oh yeah, because of Batman Returns, how obvious it is that they take it off right before he rips his mask off. Like, this time they're finally showing it. I don't know, it looks, in my mind, it was way darker, but I see it under the bags of his eyes. That
I think it's just a little nod, but this I do love, because I really love.
I stan O'Donnell, okay? I stan Chris O'Donnell, and I just needed to get him into the show, but I still think it's there.
I think this was more just the bags under O'Donnell's eyes after doing a lot of party drugs the night.
Or he's just like, oh man, I don't want to do this.
I really do love them writing it in fully though in this, because all the Batman since Keaton have had it. As you mentioned, Billy, in Batman Returns, it's very comical because it vanishes when he pulls the mask off magically. And then Kick-Ass is the one movie that really addressed it, obviously with a big Batman nod, with Nicolas Cage doing this Adam West-esque Batman, where we actually see him putting it on. But to actually get Bruce Wayne with that eyeshadow, it's part of his deal. Let's embrace it.
Well, and here's and like, not only obviously we're making fun, this is a very small thing, but like, it's always bugged me that they didn't that they feel embarrassed of the eye black, because there are lots of good tactical reasons why you would make yourself look like the Crow like that, like underneath your mask. Like, for one thing, if it ever so happens he has to be out during the day, or like the glare from and I'm actually not kidding about this. I imagine that the glare from the bat signal when you're that close to it is really irritating. It could be good to have some eye blacks that when you're like disappearing, you know how to reach for your smoke bombs and you can get on out of there. Also, it just like, Bruce Wayne is a sad boy man, why wouldn't you have him in his sad boy makeup?
Yeah, let Bruce Wayne listen to Alkaline Trio the way that you know that he does. I love this trailer. Like, overall, I love that these I love that they didn't outright. Obviously, they're tilting their hat very hard towards the Riddler because of the weird serial killer messages and the question marks. But I love that you didn't get like some kind of like close up shot of someone and they're like the Riddler or something like that. I love that the riddles weren't clever. They were weird and off putting, and just felt like something much more like from a Fincher serial killer movie, from Seven or from Zodiac or something like that. I thought that was fantastic. I love that they left me with plenty of questions and not like a ton of answers other than here's Batman and can Robert Pattinson act? Yes, he can. You should watch more movies. Just the guy like getting taped up and everything. Just kind of, I loved being able to leave a Batman trailer and just going like, what was that? What was that?
Yes.
I mean, part of it, let's be fair, part of it is because they only filmed 25% of the movie.
Of course.
So it's like they didn't have that much to choose from, but I think it's a great trailer, and selling you the tone, the mood. You mentioned like the Fincher-esque quality, the part where he kind of beats down on that guy, I think sells people who are still like, the vampire from Twilight is a tough guy? I don't think so, because they don't watch other movies. That's like, no, of course he can play a tough guy. It was a really cool, like, here's statement trailer.
Well, and I'm also, because one of the great things about Fandom, and one of the things because I think we've all had this idea of like, well, how are all of these pieces going to fit together? Is this going to feel like patchwork because we have these different parts of DC? Which I think a lot of us were arguing at one point, like, yeah, man, you can do whatever you want. These are all characters that people know well enough that you can do these different versions and have them lead to other things. And so I love that Fandom is just blatantly like, yeah, man, this thing goes with this thing goes with that. Keep up. Because I do think that all of these things can live on screen. We can have something that directly ties into this new Gotham TV show while also being able to have all of the Snyder stuff coming and what might come out of that later. So that was another thing that was really exciting about this, was the fact that they're not trying to like back off on it. Like, it's no, these separate things go with each other and you're going to deal with it because you're really smart.
Yeah. Well, that's always been the strength of the company too. Yeah. Even before the modern sort of nerd era, Warner Brothers in general, one of their big strengths was their flexibility.
Yep.
Other than the brief WB network experiment, it was like, our shows go everywhere. We make shows and we license them to ABC, to NBC, to Fox, to whoever. Like, their power has always been flexibility, and I like that is kind of reflected in their strategy with DC. But speaking of the rest of the multiverse, we got a Snyder Cut trailer. We got a lot of Snyder goodness. So let's jump into the hallelujah of all of that. So that's going to be released as a 4-part miniseries. They're 1 hour each, and then they'll release the entire thing as a combined film. And then they're trying to figure out sort of distribution for parts of the world that don't have HBO Max. The trailer showed some new footage and then some previously seen footage. We got a little Black Suit Superman. We got Darkseid. We got a little Flash and Iris. We got a little more Cyborg, who Snyder has described again as the heart of the movie. And then, of course, the thing that really sort of seemed to steal the shine or the show from the Snyder Cut was the Hallelujah needle drop, which was, of course, also used in Watchmen. So, what do you guys think? Did you guys enjoy?
But just the Hallelujah thing is very oddly distracting, just because that song has been used too much in pop culture at this point. The OC used it very well. But it's just funny when a director uses the same needle drop he's used before.
Mm-hmm.
That's odd. Otherwise, though, I mean, this looks fine. It looks like a Zack Snyder Justice League movie, you know?
And, you know, I'll asterisk this with, I'm really excited to see this project. I love that on the human side of this story, I love that something that's tied into something very sad and into his life or a very sad time period gets the proper closure that I think he needed. I really love that. I almost hate wading into the waters of talking about this stuff because talking about Zack Snyder is The Last Jedi times 1,000 in Team America World Police terms.
I heard the needle drop, and I don't know if this is true or not. I'd seen it posted a couple times, but I'd heard that that song has a very special meaning to him in terms of like his daughter, and I kind of feel like, Joe, you just said part of this, more than just a superhero movie or anything, is just kind of catharsis for the, you know, a time in someone's life. So that might make more sense in that regards. But also the other thing that I noticed, first of all, I really I'm very interested to see it. I thought the Joe Morton thing, poor guy, he dies in such a believable, credible way in any movie he dies in. So that moment really was like, oh, what's going on there? But the one thing I thought was interesting, and I haven't seen anyone say it, I thought it was kind of interesting that this is like full screen 4:3 instead of 16:9, and I wasn't sure if they shot this like in full IMAX or something, or what that's about, or if it was like an interesting weird choice. But it kind of was like, oh, the first time I saw it, I saw it on my phone because I was taking care of the kid, and I was like, oh, is this cut off on my phone? But then going to YouTube, I was like, oh no, that was like a choice.
Yeah, the aspect ratio threw me too. I was tweeting out, is this a mistake? Like, did they screw up showing this? But people are like, no. This
I think after all the everything of the tale of this, I thought it was an interesting. I thought it was a weird choice to have sort of a quiet, understated trailer. Right. I don't know. I was like, I'm positive. I felt positive that this was the very first Justice League trailer, but with Seven Nation Army swapped out for Hallelujah. Again, doesn't mean I'm talking down or poo-pooing the project or anything like that. I was really, like, after just the journey of the Snyder Cut, I was really expecting them to hit me with something that was really going to make me crap my pants.
It can't live up to that hype is the problem, though. It might end up being perfectly fine, but it can't live up to worst thing ever or best thing ever at this point.
Nothing.
Small fact check: it was Icky Thumb. Sorry, Joe. I just.
Thank you.
Icky Thumb, yes, thank you.
Nice.
But
Don't screw up your white stripes.
Yeah, but no, I think that's that. I mean, I think for now, it feels like this has been something where people have said that they've been talking about it forever, but it does feel like all of this has kind of come together for something that is as big of a deal.
That was also in the trailer.
You're gonna get us demonetized. But yeah, it's like that feels like that's one of those things where it's we know that all these things happen in the background, but it does feel like it's come together very quickly. But the fact that they're doing this over 4 nights, yeah, they are. Of course you are. Like, of course, that's how you do it, is you do it over 4 nights and then you do the whole thing later. Like, that is exactly how you do it. They are making this into, like, a huge, huge event.
Yeah, and rightfully so.
I was going to say, at this point, it would be stupid not to make it a huge event. Everything that went with it. We've been talking about the Snyder Cut for 3 years. It's going to be 4 years by the time this thing comes out. Like, hell, it should be a national holiday at this point. Like, everyone just take the day off and watch this thing so we can all, you know, just finally talk about it.
The month that this is going to own in the pop culture sort of consciousness is part of the investment, right? I think it was so smart to cut it up.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we get the Snyder Cut, or at least we don't get it for another 10 years if HBO Max doesn't exist, right? Because Warner Media is like, hey, bright, shiny thing we need to sell. This would be great. So, of course, for them, it's like 4 episodes? Perfect. You know, we want this thing to have some staying power.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let me jump in here to the chat and see what they're thinking about that their cut. Sarah Risley says, "I'm so happy to see an artist get to finish a project the way they wanted, especially given the circumstances for his departure." I am too. I'm fascinated to see if this like closes the book on the Snyder Cut of it all, or or I don't know, or if the discourse is rekindled to live another 10 years. I don't know. I'm curious. But it'll definitely be cool to see it on screen. All of you are so tired of talking about the Snyder Cut.
It's so funny how all of us are like carefully
went.
thinking in our heads, like, what can I say?
I have one question that we're talking about in chat about, like, I'm glad this isn't coming out in theaters because I feel like no matter how much money it made at the box office, it would be overanalyzed. Like,
it'd be
weaponized,
weaponized is what
yes.
it would be.
So
and it probably still will be.
Oh, it still will be.
And that Scott Summers wants them to drop it all at one time, not week to week. What do you guys think about that? I think that's the last thing the Snyder Cut was.
No, I think, I think the week to week makes the investment worthwhile. I agree with you, like, but I think I'd agree with you if they weren't also releasing the version that's the whole thing combined. But I think from a business standpoint, the amount of money that they're putting into this and, I don't know, just like the tidal wave of interest, I think the month long makes sense.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where it's like sometimes, like you're what you want in your heart and what you want in your head. It's like you learn how to sometimes just reconcile them and be like, okay, well, this is how it works, so I'm okay with it. It's like, yeah, almost with anything. I'm at this point. While I do understand exactly why people like take things and split them up, and so it gives people like more to it keeps things in the consciousness throughout the week. It isn't just a thing where you drop it and then people talk about it in a weekend and then it goes away. I do get that. I like that because I like being able to binge things at once. But it's also like this is one of those ones where it's like I'm not going to tilt at those windmills of dreaming of what could be with this, with like the idea that you would like be able to just stream it all at once, just because like there's no way after everything. Make it a 4-night event. Like it's, if, look at something like, the CW shows, they have huge events. It's got to at least be on the level, if not bigger. And just in terms of the way they treat it, they can't just treat it as like, here's a drop and here's a thing that's going to happen. Like the fact that we haven't already heard about like, hey, we're also doing like countdowns of like, okay, on certain nights, we're going to play different Batman. Like we'll have like all of this stuff available and we'll talk about it throughout the week. The fact that it's not more of a production is actually kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, I have a feeling I think that's a good point, but I do think once we get a little closer, we're going to get little maybe documentary drops and
yeah, that's exactly.
Like
I just wondered too. I've been thinking this whole time because we talked about like, how done was this movie, and it seems like it was kinda, but not really. Like there's a lot of work that has to go into it. My mind just immediately goes to like the Richard Donner Superman 2 cut, where it was like once I saw it, I was like, well, that was an interesting kind of glimpse at maybe what it could have been with a ton of like band-aids over the parts that aren't there. I just wonder how close the Snyder Cut is going to feel like an actual like, oh, this is an alternate, completely different movie versus like, here's mostly what I wanted to do with limitations. There's some band-aids on it. Like how close to the Donner cut? Because to me, I was really excited for that Donner Superman 2 cut, and I just don't revisit it a lot because it's more of just like a pitch, than it is an actual satisfying movie.
This will hopefully work better than that simply because it's being done so soon after they have access to the actors, etc. But I do think there's also now this sort of implicit acknowledgement that the Snyder Cut was not finished and ready to go, as some fans thought. Like, release it, it's ready, because it was 4 hours of material that needed to be, it was never going to come out in the theaters like that. So it was going to need a lot of work. They're not doing the work to turn it into a movie. They're instead making it a completely different animal. And that's a sign of the times of the streaming era,
Well, for me, I think, and I know that there will be plenty of comments, and you see them all over the place, like, well, you don't know anything about the Snyder Cut, and you're not invested, so maybe you shouldn't speak about things that you don't know of. And it's like, whoa there, old-timey Catholic Church that wouldn't let anyone learn Latin. I think the casual fan test is important for this. And for me, someone who has not followed beat for beat the canon of the Snyder Cut, like I haven't followed the timelines on the release of the Snyder Cut website and the weird, the end of the Rock reveal where Nick Cage is like, do you want to see another piece of footage of Iris West? I haven't done that. And so for me, as a very just casual observer, felt underwhelmed. I felt like I'd seen it already. So for me, the uninitiated who's like, oh, I know that exists, happened, and I kind of went, oh, I saw that trailer already. But who knows? I'm still excited to see the thing, and I hope they get their money's worth out of it.
Yep.
What I was very excited to see, though, you guys, can we talk about the Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
God, I'm so pumped for this. Okay, so the James Gunn Suicide Squad had this great cast reveal video, and it was exactly, for me, what I was hoping this movie was going to be, was A-listers playing just D-list characters, you know.
Yep.
They took pretty much everyone that worked from the original, plus Joel Kinnaman, and put them...
Who I'm predicting won't make far into the movie, but we'll see.
opening scene, tops.
You think it'll be a Channing Tatum G.I. Joe 2?
Yeah.
No, I think it'll be MacGruber gets all the WWE wrestlers
Right.
to the fan situation.
Joe, we were talking about placing bets for an episode in the future. We got to add how far they make it in the movie as part of the betting
I think
pool.
so. I absolutely think you're right. I'm going to start reading through these, and you guys just jump in and cut me off if you got reactions. Viola Davis is back as Amanda Waller.
Great.
Which
Fantastic.
I'm super excited about that. She was one of the standouts to me from the Air movie. Joel Kinnaman is Rick Flag. Again,
Glad when anyone gets paid. Yeah, I'm glad when people get paid. I'm happy that when anyone is working.
I like Joel Kinnaman.
Does Flag make it to even the title screen of the movie?
I think he doesn't make it as long as Slipknot made it in the last one.
Oh no!
He's not passing the Slipknot test.
7 minutes of screen time.
Okay,
That's my
I'm about
bold
that.
prediction.
He steps out of a van and someone says, "Here comes Rick Flag, the man who can lead anything."
Guess we need a new leader.
It's not a gun movie without Rooker. So Michael Rooker is coming in as Savant. Let me say, I don't know who a lot of these characters.
Same here. I'm a Marvel guy, and I do not know a lot of these guys.
One of the cool things that happened as a result of the Fandome is like established like high traffic fandom community pages like Batman and Superman and stuff like didn't really see spikes, but then all of a sudden you get like Polka Dot Man and Sport getting like huge internet traffic spikes that probably no one ever expected.
What's a rat catcher? Why is there 2 of them?
Yeah, it's not the first one. Flula Borg as Javelin. Good old Flula. Good for you, Flula. Get that money. I don't know if you're a real person or not, but I'm glad that you are in this movie as Javelin of all people. I love that Margot Robbie can just keep playing Harley Quinn in.
But wearing a freaking awesome costume. I mean, I loved Birds of Prey, and I think she's been dead on casting the whole time. But to see her in a much more comics accurate costume, I did certainly geek out about that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that was great, and I love that all of these movies can be a slightly weirder, different take on Margot Robbie that are all semi-connected, but maybe also not. And that's awesome.
Well, I saw, people were screenshotting, and I just thought it was really cool. In Suicide Squad, she has that tattoo. It says property of Joker, and now she has a tattoo. It says property of no one. So, like, the character definitely has evolved. And I don't like every iteration, but I've always liked her portrayal of the character.
Yeah, I'm calling it. At the end of this movie, she's going to get that tattoo updated, and it's going to be property of Polka Dot Man.
You're shipping them?
I'm 100% Harley Dot, who's played by David Desmalchian. That's going to be great. Danielle Melchior is Ratcatcher 2. I love
because in the comics I do know Ratcatcher, and I do of course know comics have the thing of like new villains taking on old identities. So I love actually identifying her as this is Ratcatcher too.
Idris Elba as Bloodsport. Mei Ling Ning as Mongol. Peter Capaldi as the Thinker. That's really great. Alice Braga as Salsoria. Pete Davidson as Blackguard. Nathan Fillion as TDK. I think Nathan Fillion dies instantly. Honestly, I think that's the one that people are like, oh my god, Nathan Fillion in a gun movie. He's gonna get wiped off the slate like right away. Calling it. Sean Gunn, mocapping another plush toy
from raccoon to a weasel.
Jai Courtney is back as Captain Boomerang, which I'm excited about. I actually really liked him in the first Suicide Squad. John Cena as Peacemaker. I'm sorry.
Which was very funny to have him actually name drop a Marvel character by saying he's a douchey Captain America.
Yes.
Yeah, I also don't predict that he lasts more than 45 minutes.
See, I think he's going to be there for a while.
Yeah?
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think he's a future.
I say end of second act, but we'll see.
So Steve Agee will be. Reports are saying he's voicing King Shark, and we also don't know who Taika's playing yet.
Yeah.
Because Taika Waititi. I hope Taika's not doing King Shark because that's just okay. We've done the joke with Korg.
Right.
And then Mandalorian too, so it's like get Taika to do like the voice of these characters might be a little overdone now.
Steve Agee as King Shark is pretty funny to me. It's the same joke, just a little different.
I don't think James Gunn is the type of guy that's going to run the same gag twice. Like, I don't think this is going to be DC's Guardians of the Galaxy. I kind of feel like, for better or for worse, that I feel like maybe that's why people didn't love Guardians 2 as much as Guardians 1, is because he refused to do the exact same thing all over again. But I think this is right up my alley. The Suicide Squad is my perfect blend of, like, don't patronize me and make fun of me for liking this, but also let's acknowledge that all of this is kind of silly. And
wonderfully ridiculous.
Exactly.
Let it
Exactly.
be fun. Let it
When
be fun.
when I call this stuff stupid, people get really upset, and I mean stupid in the most lovingly way possible. Like, all of this is kind of like, for God's sakes, it's a talking weasel, but it's like, yeah, let's just lean into it. Let's just have fun, which is, I loved the Batman trailer, and I'm totally excited for that movie. I hope someday, after this is over, maybe we can take that same approach to Batman again, just because it's been a while. I kind of feel like we're due, but for now, the Suicide Squad is kind of my sweet spot of comic book movies, which is why I loved Aquaman so much, and I watched it again last night. I was like, yep, this is my brand.
And it's really interesting because, you sort of see some of that initial look on Twitter or reaction on Twitter, and people are like, a polka dot man? What are we, jokes to you? I'm tired of things being turned into jokes.
Dude,
Like,
that's what Suicide Squad has always been.
Yes, that is what Suicide Squad has always been. And also, just because they're taking Z-list characters doesn't mean they're not going to take their world seriously. Like that,
because I guarantee you at least one of these completely ridiculous sounding characters will have some poignant stuff in this movie, I bet.
That is literally
some will die quickly, and some will have some great.
The entire point of sorry, it just.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. Everyone's gonna walk out of this and be like, "I can't believe Polka Dot Man made me cry" or whatever.
Right.
Which is why you should all be watching the Harley Quinn TV show, because there will be some characters you will believe. I can't believe that lame character made me cry. But yeah, that has always been the point of Suicide Squad. Is we take the lamest of like these also ran like rogues characters from that you never hear of, like all these weird Flash dudes that no one ever talks about. All of these other Catman. You take all of these weird characters and you put them together, and yes, part of it is that no one takes them seriously, but that's why they can do this thing, and that's why when they do start becoming people and start becoming characters that you care about, that makes it really interesting.
Yeah, and I think that setting, I think Gunn said this is kind of an homage to like 70s war movies, kind of a run through the jungle kind of thing. I think that's a really fun mix. In the chat, so first, let's get the most important question out of the way first. Ian Roth said, can we see Billy's shirt? Enhance.
Right, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was actually a spam email that was sent to me like 3 years ago, and I clicked it and I ordered it, and I've never been able to find out. It was literally some like fly by night order now in the next 24 seconds or it's gone forever. And I'm kind of shocked that they actually shipped it.
So Reclaimer 0101 says he loves the Suicide Squad, or they said they love Suicide Squad. Looks like it's still taking the few good things from the previous, and actually looks a little more like a sequel than they were expecting. I love that too. There were some things in the first one that weren't broke, and so I'm excited to see a new director's take on Boomerang and Harley and Amanda Waller.
And a director just seems so in tune with how to make it all work.
Yeah. Gunn seems intensely proud of this movie based on, the reviews and stuff like that. And then at Brandon said, at the very least, Gunn will actually know how to insert a lot of music into the movie in a more natural way than the previous Suicide Squad, which, yeah, it'll at least definitely all feel like it belongs on the same mixtape together.
Yes.
A couple of people in the chat had asked, why do we think that we got a trailer for the Batman, which was like less done of a movie film wise than the Suicide Squad? My guess is like spoilers, like half the footage they probably would show in a trailer. They'd probably need to take people out or insert people in.
Yeah,
it's a big part of the movie's plot. But did you guys like the Batman only had 25% of it filmed? Yeah. We still got a trailer out of it. Do you guys?
I also think there's a frame of reference for Batman that you kind of bring a lot to already. Whereas, like, I kind of feel they did the perfect thing. It's like, first you got to just tell me who all these people are, because I don't know. That was one video. And then they give us behind the scenes stuff that I kind of just feel like, they have to reintroduce the Suicide Squad because they're kind of stepping away from the other one. They just had a lot to table set, so when that first trailer drops, like, you kind of already have the context for it. That's my theory.
Yeah. I went in expecting a full trailer, and so I was initially disappointed we didn't get it. But in retrospect, yeah, Billy, I think they showed us a lot, between those two videos. And it's a year out in an era when things can get bumped all the time. Yeah. So I feel like they're like, hey, we're giving you a lot right now, but we're going to hold off on the money shots until later, which I think actually works pretty well.
That makes total sense. I would much rather them do like a little tease now and then don't give us like, okay, this was going to be what the trailer was going to be, and show us like everything that you planned on showing us. And then it gets bumped back again and again and again and again. And now, I would, it just for smart business wise, and also just like Danielle wise, like get me hyped up for the thing right before it's supposed to come out instead of like a year before. And then when it happens, I'm like, oh, right, that was a thing we talked about that, whatever. Yeah. I would much rather, I think that this is a really good strategy. And I think that Suicide Squad might be, and I mean, the Batman obviously, also, but I think that this is maybe one of the first movies that goes, you know what, let's hang out for a second. Let's just do, instead of doing like the trailer, the way that we planned on it, even though we're doing this huge release, let's just do it. Let's just give them a teaser of all the characters. Let them see everyone in their costumes, because that's most of what everyone wants to see for the first look anyway.
Yeah.
So give them that, and then hang back until we kind of know what we do moving forward.
Zach in the chat also had a really good point. Suicide Squad's probably a lot more CGI heavy than the Batman too. Oh yeah. So there's probably just a lot that wasn't finished.
Yeah. Well, I think there's like a fun quotient to be filled, right? Like, what's going to be the most fun today? And I think the most fun thing you can do with Suicide Squad is just connect the dots and just
the polka dots.
Whoever, literally connect the polka dots. Whereas I think the only thing that wouldn't have been considered a disappointment, I hate calling things disappointment when everyone's just getting cool stuff handed to them for a day for absolutely free.
Absolutely nothing. For paid nothing.
But I think not seeing a little bit of the Batman would have been deemed a massive disappointment. Whereas, Billy, like you were saying, and Danielle too, where this is so much further out, like, I think there's a little bit of table setting that has to be done with Suicide Squad to very carefully explain the tone. I think there's like a little bit of hand-holding that needs to be done where it's like, here's who everyone is playing. It's not a goof. Like, you're really going to love this. It's a big, fun action movie. So I almost like there's like a behind the scenes 101 that's almost more important than showing the trailer. Let's see, what other people in chat doing? Oliver L says, I hope it's a true ensemble and not the Harley Quinn show. I think Guardians, if nothing else, Guardians of the Galaxy shows you James Gunn knows how to make an ensemble film. Yeah. Everyone's gonna have their arcs. Well, I mean, even if your arc is hello and then you explode, everyone's like. I think it will be a very satisfying.
I'm going to make a bold call. He seems like an obvious target. I think Pete Davidson makes it the whole way through and is in the next one.
All right. He's the number one. He's the number one. Chad has been saying hopes gets the Slipknot treatment as some.
Nope, I think Pete Davidson. It will be a metaphor for his career. He's just gonna squeak by all the way to the end.
You know what? Then I'll call my shot too.
And Harley Quinn's gonna fall for him. It's gonna be a metaphor for his life.
It's gonna be so inexplicable, right? And then he'll do a weird weekend update where he just rambles about one of his shooting days, and Shay just has to go, yeah, you're killing it. I think we get a big, sexy Idris Elba reveal. He's gonna walk out of the ocean like a Bond girl, get a badass like suit up montage, like they're just pure Idris eye candy, and then he's just gonna die, like someone directly through his chest, like in Kung Pao. And just Idris goes out immediately. That's my other call.
I would do this. I would do the sexy dance that same thing, but I would do it with Justina, where you have him come out and he's the sexy man and his things, and then he's putting on and he gets the big suit up, and then just immediately does something wrong and is straight up murked. I would do that with Cena, but either one of those, I do think, especially like they spent so much time doing eye candy in the first Suicide Squad of everyone getting together. I would love an eye candy scene, to just end with like, oh, what's this button do?
Yep.
Kaboom.
And this is great. Sarah Risley also says, I expect at least one Deadpool 2 Brad Pitt type surprise.
Ooh.
Yeah, especially because Gunn is friends with everyone.
Yeah.
We'll get something like that.
Do you think Dave Bautista will slide in there, even if it's one of those things like Daniel Craig in Force Awakens, where it's never really said, but you know that it's him, you know?
Yeah. It's just, it's like some grunt that they fight, and it's Batista.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he wasn't announced. Like, we didn't get to see... Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think we'll get some weird A-list stuff coming out of Suicide Squad, definitely. Sarah, I think that's a super good point. Well said. God, we have so much more to get through. I'm so sorry. I'm just very excited about the Suicide Squad. Also, love the Wonder Woman 84 trailer. I thought it was super fun. We got a little more Max Lord. We got a little more Steve Trevor. We got a whole bunch of Cheetah and Kristen Wiig. Will this come out on October 2nd still? We didn't quite get updates. Patty Jenkins did vow it would be a theatrical release. I don't know about that October 2nd number. We can talk about that another day. Let's just talk about the trailer. Let's just talk funsies today. I feel like just talking funsies and our grim reality outside. I thought this was fun. I love that Kristen Wiig's character arc seems like Jim Carrey's from Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Or Jamie Foxx's from Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, Bert, yeah.
Or Guy Pearce's from Iron Man 3. Why don't we just keep on going?
And they're all going to team up, guys!
Oh!
I would watch that team up.
No, it's a cool trailer. I have my issues with the CG cheetah. Everyone made their cat's meme joke. It's a little rough. And I'm not one of those, like, no CG effects guys. CG effects are amazing. We watch them all the time, and we don't even think about it. Cheetah looks a little strange, but otherwise I love everything I'm seeing with Kristen Wiig, and kind of, you can tell there's different tiers to Kristen Wiig through this movie as far as her transformation goes.
Yeah, I have a feeling that little, that N Cheetara, I keep calling her Cheetara, sorry, that N Cheetah, is probably going to be like a couple of minutes there at the end.
Final fight.
Yeah, that's fine. That's her final form, Cheetah. I actually like the CG on her. I think it works. I think anyone who has ever yearned for a Thundercats movie, here it is. Put some 80s gymnastics pants on her and give her a staff, and there you go, man. She's Cheetara. But yeah, I thought that again. Best Hollywood Chris, re-cementing that he is Best Hollywood Chris with the parachute pants joke. That was great. Danielle, why is Chris Pine the Best Hollywood Chris?
Oh, geez. Because he minds his business, Joe. The best Hollywood. I mean, most of them do, but he seems like all he wants to do is go to Whole Foods. Y'all stop taking pictures of that man gray hair while he's just trying to go shopping with his mask on. You leave him alone. I'm really excited for it. I like all the Kristen Wiig stuff. I'm excited to see, we got into some new Max Lord info, which is great. Still excited to see how all of this comes in together. But you already had me at the Lightning riding. Like, everything else now is just cake until I see it. Once I saw her ride the Lightning, I was like, I was already in, and now I'm mega in. And so at this point, I am at that point with this trailer. I'm like, I don't need to see anymore. I've seen everything I need to see. I just need the movie now. Thank you.
William?
I am much more interested in this one than the first one. I liked the first one. The third act kind of lost me a little bit on that first Wonder Woman. I'm also just like, I'm not big on the period ones. I'm not like the Captain America First Avengers, like my least favorite of like those types of movies. They're just not for me. So seeing her brought into like, you know, not quite modern, but the 80s, like it's just more fun for me. And this new trailer, like even my wife who was watching with me, she just was like, that one looks way better than the first one. I think we both were just like, it's just more our pace. So I'm actually I liked the music of the first trailer better, but I think I like the trailer of this one better. So all around, like I'm really pumped to see this someday.
Yeah, probably not October 2nd, but yeah, I'm excited.
Right.
Which
We'll see how
so
Tenet
close.
does.
Yeah.
If Tenet like knocks it out of the park for
Yeah.
COVID standards, then maybe.
I think
you know,
Warner Brothers makes such a quick decision based on how Tenet does in the next week.
Right.
Yeah.
Based on this trailer, I felt like they did a good job of correcting my biggest problem with the first Wonder Woman, which was the first Wonder Woman was such a great character piece with Diana and Steve, and then the villain stuff left so much to be desired, and then that's why you got that third act video game boss fight. And it really seemed like this trailer was trying to say, no, like you're going to see this really great tragic arc with Kristen Wiig, who also, if again, it's more watch more movies syndrome, like it is with Robert Pattinson. Like if you're like, ugh, the Target lady, I'm still not sold. Go through Kristen Wiig's filmography. She's a fantastic dramatic actress,
Absolutely.
and I'm really excited to see her be able to do her thing in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this movie was trying to tease the fact that like we really paid attention to our villain in this one, and obviously it's going to be a CG fight because she's a Mrs. Mistopheles. But I think they will have. I'm hoping that they will have earned it with some character building.
Yeah.
McCavity.
Yeah. Oh, McCavity and that.
Jellicle villain.
Langley jumped in. Hi, Langley. He says, comic readers know that Cheetah and her claws are far more potent against Wonder Woman than you would think. She's also formidable because Wonder Woman cares about her, too. So, I think he's kind of echoing sort of what the trailer was sort of hinting at, too, where you see Diana actually concerned about, like, whatever weird spiral this lady's going through. So, yeah, I'm excited about this one. Hey, Billy.
Yes.
You want to talk about the image that made you crap your pants?
Guys, I really thought this was going to melt the internet, and it just kind of was like, oh yeah, that was a thing.
There's a lot of melting going on this day.
There was so much melting, but this is like the mega melt. This is a Patty Melt Deluxe. This was concept art for The Flash, and they showed his new suit, but then the second image was the Flash teaming up with Batman, but not just any Batman.
There it is.
This Batman. They had the Flash with Michael Keaton's Batman. So now in my head, I was like, look, Michael Keaton is Bruce Wayne, old man Batman. Sure, I'll take it. Are you kidding me? You're giving me de-aged, possibly CGI Keaton Batman? What did I do in a past life to deserve this? This is...
Oh, no.
It's been a good summer, Billy.
I know.
You made a good person. You got your Batman back. You are killing it this summer. Summer 2020, but you took all of the good from the rest of the world and just...
I think this is why 2020 is the way it is.
I just
Really
funneled
sucked
all of the positive energy into the most benign
Did you
thing
make
I
a
could
terrible, like, sort of Fastosian devil's deal?
Like a monkey's paw, yeah.
Sorry.
Look, he doesn't have to leave his house. He doesn't have to be around people. He gets a really good kid and Batman. I think Billy made a deal.
But this is so amazing. It's clearly the '89 Batman suit, not the Batman Return suit. You can tell
Because
by
it's got
the
that
insignia.
weird second insignia.
It's got
thing,
weird
points.
insignia. They're giving us weird insignia, Batman.
Yes.
I'm beside myself. I don't even really care if this is a movie anymore. If it is just a montage with no plot of just things like that, sure, I'll buy it on Blu-ray, 4K, digital.
Yeah, we talked last week after the Affleck reveal about how it's like, unfortunately, that Affleck deal came together too late to be part of this. And they never even specifically named Keaton. So I think, again, they taped this weeks ago. They couldn't. They just showed the image because that was cleared by then. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's a little too bad that was like undercut. If they could have revealed during the panel Affleck and Keaton, like I think it would have been the thing of the entire fandom. As it was, we kind of knew, but I still, Billy, I am so psyched by that image.
But Eric, did you ever think when they said Keaton was going to be coming, like seeing that image, that it was like, this is not like old Batman Beyond Bruce. It's like, holy crap, he's in the bat suit.
I feel dumb for not guessing it, given we've seen Marvel use that technology a lot and others. So it's like, of course, they could de-age him. He could actually team up.
Well,
with,
that's a great way to really show.
Batman.
Yeah, you can really show the Flash. Obviously, there's so much about that is about the running, but at a certain point, Flash comic book writers realized that it can't just be about a dude what runs, and so then it became all about like time travel and different dimensions and all of these other things, which I think a lot of people don't know about, because every time the Flash comes up, my sister's like, that guy that runs. And I'm like, yes, but sometimes through time and away from his pain. Yeah. From everything. And so this is a great way to be able to pretty effortlessly, easily show what him being able to go through time means, while also being able to do some good crowd pleasing stuff. Man, I am a fan and I feel served.
Oh, service me. Service me all day, baby. I don't care about plots. I don't care about Oscars. I don't care if it makes sense. I don't care if it's for kids or for grown-ups. Service me with Keaton Batman, baby.
Look, I know a lot of folks were kind of like,
someone please gift that
Flash movie, but like, was anyone gonna go see a Flash movie? Like, I honestly don't know. I kind of feel like the answer is no. Like that, I think it's smart to set this mid-carder up to succeed with as many main eventers as possible. Hi, wrestling friends. Give the Flash a little push with Batman. You guys are talking about the de-aging thing. I just realized that, like, you know, my problem with it in, like, Captain Marvel with de-aging Sam Jackson, while it looked great, but the moment he had to fight, you were like, oh, that's an old man trying to fight and move. Right. But Batman 89 didn't really move. He would just kind of go...
And much easier to hide because anyone could be in that suit, you know.
Yeah. Yep, and then just put a face on it.
But also, I think Michael Keaton probably still moves the same way that Batman 89 moved.
Sure. No, I said earlier, I was like, oh, this should be easy because all they have to really CG is this part of the face.
Yep.
We know how that worked out last time. So.
Oh, no.
And then he can go like this and a metal thing can come out from his wrist and hit a guy.
Then I will have to pause and freeze frame for 5 years of my life trying to figure out exactly what happened. Yeah. There's a lot in that first Batman movie where I'm like, I know something cool happened. I don't know how it happened, but that was cool.
That guy fell down. That's all I need to know.
I hope Barry is unsettled by Keaton Batman just liking to blow people up sometimes.
Yeah.
I do that.
I hope he's going to blow. Yeah, he's definitely going to blow stuff. Like, him and Affleck are going to have just a fun bonding session over blowing stuff. Which I think will be great. I think the reason it got overshadowed, and I don't want to jump into this too much, and I'll explain why, but I think the elephant in the room for Ezra Miller is that weird video of his interaction. Yeah. And I'm sure people are talking about it in the chat, because that's all Twitter was talking about during the Flash stuff. I don't want to touch on it right now because, like, I don't quite understand what happened. And it happened, I don't know, it's 2020, so I think it happened 14 years ago. And I say that not to mean like, oh, it's old news, but like every day there's a weird explosion, and I honestly can't remember the details of the Ezra Miller thing. And like, so yeah, well, I'm sure there will be a reckoning for it at some point.
It's just so weird that they haven't, at this point, Warner Brothers and him haven't done a statement. You just would expect at this point something. So it's these days you can't get away with, we'll just ignore it. So it's just strange that they haven't talked about it yet.
I just wanted to bring it. It just felt weird, like not mentioning it, because that was kind of the question the whole world was asking while all that stuff was being revealed. Yeah. And my honest answer is like, it's like 14 catastrophes back for me right now, and I just like don't have the wherewithal to really properly discuss it. Got a couple other announcements throughout Fandom. Aquaman 2, James Wan says the second one's going to be a little more serious, a little more relevant to the world we're living in today.
No, I was going to ask Aquafan number one, Billy, what he thought about it.
No, you are taking away the best part. Drums, octopus drums, more octopus drums, not less octopus drums. Yeah. Read the room. We need the octopus drums.
Yeah, he gets a speaking line in the sequel. Otherwise, I'm kind of not interested.
It's
I
a
do do
living,
that.
like
Every
something,
sequel doesn't have to be, let's do the darker sequel. And maybe Aquaman doesn't need to do that.
Yeah.
I like Aquaman, but I liked it because it was really, really fun. If it's serious here, because if it's got some of the plotting and the pacing problems, but without the octopus on drums, I don't know, guys, because I forgave a lot of things or overlooked a lot of things on that movie because I was like, I don't care, it's fun. Who cares? It's fun. But if you take away that who cares, it's fun, then you're gonna see some holes. So.
Once you take away all that, you're gonna have to think about the craft of the filmmaking, and you're like, you don't want that. I don't want to think about how just a mess of a plot that movie is. I'm just having fun bouncing from set.
I'm hoping that James Wan can balance like whatever sort of darker story he wants to tell with underwater knights riding sharks with laser beams attached to their heads. Because that, to me, again, was also the joy of the movie. So I'm hoping that, like, if he's got a Days of Future Past Aquaman, that he can still do it with all of the ridiculousness, like, intact.
I want Octopus on drums to stop playing the drums to deliver a big speech about a world. And
you know, guys,
today is our Independence Day.
Darker. Like it's got Black Manta in it. You know, it can't be crazy. It can't be like crazy serious with that Black Manta helmet.
That big dumb head, as you elegantly put it, like 3 years ago. You're like, I love that big dumb head.
I love that big dumb head. This is what we talk about, where it's like comic books can make us feel things and care about things, but they also got to have that big dumb head. And yeah, so hopefully he can strike that balance well and not take away Big Dumb Head and Octopus Drums. We also got a Shazam sequel update, which left Billy a little confused and nervous.
Look,
we got the
if
title.
You tease a Sinbad-assance, and it is just the weirdest joke that has no payoff, I quit being a fan of DC.
So you're worried Sinbad's not
That is the line in the sand. You went too far if you tease me some Sinbad, and it's not even a thing. That's all I'm going to say.
You're not getting Sinbad, hun.
The weirder thing is
why would I not get
Harold
Sinbad?
in the Snyder Cut.
What a weird joke to make, though. That makes no sense. There's no context.
The joke was him being there because of the whole Shazam that wasn't.
Yeah.
So that's the joke in and of itself. But him saying I'm in it, I mean, why? You know, why not? Give Sinbad a role.
I would like it. I would love if he was in it.
No Sinbad, no
joke
ticket. That's my policy. No Sinbad, no ticket.
We should mention the movie's called Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Who's to say Sinbad's not one of the gods?
Right. I do like the title. I was honestly hoping that his joke title that he tweeted that was like the kids have facial hair now. Like I was kind of hoping that was actually the title. But I'm into this. I hope you get your Sinbad, Billy. I really do. We also got. Let's talk about this for a second. Well, okay, we got Black Adam, which will introduce the JSA. Which I was not expecting, and I think that's a really fun, interesting movie. And also, look, The Rock knows how to handle a presentation. He's cutting promos.
Oh, I'm willing to bet that Henry Cavill's Superman is some part of it because, like a wrestler would, calling their shot for WrestleMania 4 months before it happens. He called out Superman like 3 or 4 times, very clearly, very intently.
Pointed at the sign. He pointed at the sign.
If Cavill's not coming back as Superman, I don't think that you put that much emphasis on it.
No.
Either way, that being said, having no footage, but making one of the best teasers of the weekend was incredible. And to see like Dr. Fate, we got to see him in live action in Smallville, and that was really cool. But to see him like on the big screen, and again, this is just kind of like the golden age of comic book movies. I'm super stoked for this one. Whereas before I was kind of like, sure. Now I'm like, okay, yep, that one's gonna be awesome.
I love the JSA. I'm really excited to see what they can do bringing that to the big screen for sure.
Yeah.
Especially because it does have a lot of like JSA in particular. Because of some of the things they do, they tend to cross more with that mystical side where it makes more sense for a Black Adam to be. Give me the Stargirl, man. Give it to me. Also watch Stargirl. It's very good.
And Hawkman in a movie. I will endorse Hawkman being in a movie. It's amazing times.
Yeah. I didn't expect DC to give me as many like oh, amazing times moments as they did on Saturday, but they did. Michael Parker says, I'm looking forward to Shazam 2. Not sure how I feel about the title, but we know it won't be more serious if they follow up on the evil caterpillar. I think Fury of the Gods is a winky title, which I think is great for the tone. Like, I think it's supposed to sound like a ridiculous serial. Like an old-timey radio show, like, we'll find out in Shazam, Fury of the Gods, brought to you by Coco. I'm very into that title. And then we also got a Static Shock movie announcement, which we children of a certain age should be really pumped about this.
Yeah, I think it's cool in general. Obviously, they're bringing back Milestone Comics as an imprint. But yeah, them saying that they're working on Static Shock, it makes sense just because, like you mentioned, Joe, it's that sweet spot of nostalgia, but it's also a character with a lot of potential. So,
Which is interesting too about the Milestone imprint coming back was just on the heels of a week or two ago. We're like, are DC even going to make comics anymore? Are comics even a thing? And then to have kind of this big announcement, I really don't even kind of know what's going on with the publishing side anymore. I mean, Jim Lee was like, we're still going to make comics, but to bring back Milestone, that's a big deal.
I'm wondering if we're going to get a lot more of that rollout on Fandom Day 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Fandom 2, Fury of the Gods.
But cynically, I guess not even cynically, just realistically, Lee even said in that interview he did, again, because all Fandom was taped before the layoffs, so there's also that strangeness about it. But he said, hey, of course we're going to keep doing comics because they're kind of a great proof of concept and whatnot. So I think that with Milestone, for instance, like especially Static Shock, who's already kind of a pre-sold character, but it's like, oh, we want to redevelop this character. And basically, we're going to do this new comic book, and it can help us basically help conceive stuff for a movie we also want to do, because everything's going to be multimedia. And yeah, that's kind of like the cynical part, because it's like, can't comics just be comics? But especially with these big corporations, they can't be.
Yeah. Static Shock Go ahead, Danielle.
Oh, no, just I feel like that's been a thing ever since, 100 Days of Night got basically picked up, where it was being made at almost the exact same, it was basically storyboards for a movie or TV show or whatever. Like, I kind of feel like that's just kind of what's happening now. If it gives me my comics, I'm grateful for it. But a nice thing about Static coming back is I feel like Static Shock is one of those properties, every 5 years, someone's like, that's Static Shock though, huh? And we're all like, huh? Like little puppies, like waiting to hear what's going to happen. And then nothing happens. And it's been that way forever. And I always hear about people who are like, if I could do one property that I could bring on, I would do a Static Shock cartoon, TV show, movie, whatever. So the fact that this is a character that people have really, really been looking forward to seeing. And so the fact that we're going to get that and new comics, I am super pumped. And also, so Milestone, for a bunch of people who aren't aware of the imprint, just super black stuff, man. Just like a super black comic book thing. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm kind of surprised that Static and hasn't been done a little sooner, because another thing with Static Shock is with all these movies being made and diversity conversations happening and stuff like that, what's that hard line that kind of the crappier nerds always draw, where it's like, don't recast people as different races, just come up with Batman level popularity characters of color, just why can't you just do that and make it happen? And which is an insane thing to say out loud, and please do a little critical thinking, just a little, a scotch to realize why that's so stupid to say. But one of the few times it has succeeded, Static Shock. Static Shock managed to break that glass ceiling for tons of kids who are now of movie ticket and apartment renting age, right? Yeah. And so I'm really excited to see this movie jump ahead. Hey guys, we've got I'm going to transition in and out, you guys. We've got another Fandom 5 trivia this week. On Friday, it is a Dragon Ball Z episode. We've got a link below. Click on that so you can RSVP. Come check it out. Answer some DBZ questions correctly and win some money. Yeah.
Yay, money!
Sweet moolah from Uncle Rico.
Oh yeah. No, these have been great, and I've been super enjoying doing them. So come check it out. Have a good time. Have a good time with us. So let me get just some overall thoughts from you guys. Before we get out of here on our Bill and Ted surprise on Fandom. Hits, misses, overall feel?
I thought it was really well done. Just as a production, has, and everything's evolving, right? So it's Comic-Con took some knocks for how they did things, but someone had to go first. you know? And so it's like they did what they did, but it's like these were tighter panels. They were, edited down to kind of keep it like moving, which I thought worked very well. My one criticism is I think it's great that they had some pre-taped audience questions. And this is, I don't know how you get around this when it's all controlled by the studio. They were all very fluffy. Did we need Pedro Pascal to be asked, do you know your fans love you? Like, that's the kind of thing that I would be like, that's the kind of thing I'd be like, maybe we can skip questions like that, because they were trying to kind of avoid the more like, let's ask about the project questions. So that's the one thing where I felt like, can we make it a little more organic to get the audience maybe asking, like with the Snyder Cut, for instance, like maybe we kind of like, talk about this even coming together. It was a little fluffy, but I still think has like an overall presentation. Kudos to what they did.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and especially being able to put all that stuff together now. And like you said, it's absolutely like someone had to go first, and you always feel like super terrible for them. We've got a bunch more of these conventions and things that are coming after this. So we'll get to see kind of other people learning what did and what didn't work. But I will say that I thought that this was a great way to do this, even with it being pre-taped and having to deal with all of kind of the weirdness from that. I still think they covered the being pre-taped pretty good. But as far as like a fan thing, I think that if you are a huge fan of DC, you were very well fed. Fandom has been feeding you what you needed, and you should be very happy. If you're a casual fan, just even watching all of the stuff online, and because of the way they covered it, and because of how easy it's been to access, I think that this was a success because it got everyone talking, even people who aren't just huge DC fans. I think that this is going to be the model that other places start to work off of. And I agree with Eric. I do think that when it comes to you're pre-screening the questions, like, I'm not saying that you have to be like, why do you guys hate Zack Snyder before and why do you hate him now? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be like, why did you change your mind, you stupid corporate shills? But I think we can probably do better than like, why are your eyes so pretty?
Right. There's a balance.
I want to know. He has beautiful eyes. Great arms and beautiful eyes. Billy?
I don't totally disagree, but at the same time, like, we've
About his
all
eyes
been
or
enough...
his event?
About the I mean, his eyes are just dreamy, but we've all been in enough panels where like a majority of those questions are terrible, and they are just like, will you notice me? So
you know what? It does make you feel like you're there. A question like, does he know that his fans love him?
A cringe question, yes.
Like, so to me, I'm sorry, the audience participation parts of panels are usually like when it's like, let's open it up to the audience. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with just like, here it is. Here's the stuff. Let's go for it. I honestly thought this was a rousing success. Minus, a lot of people were thinking maybe we get Man of Steel 2, but how could you be disappointed from this weekend? They gave you so much, a lot of stuff that you didn't think you were going to get. Yeah. And I honestly don't see a reason why DC, Marvel, anyone should really ever do Hall H again. Like, there's no reason to not do this format. You are getting all the attention on your product the way you want it to be put out. And honestly, I don't see the benefit of having 2,000 people in a room who were already going to see the thing that you were pumping, as opposed to putting this out where someone like my wife is like, that Black Adam thing looks cool. Like, to me, that's way more valuable than pleasing the hardcore fans. This pleases the hardcore fans. This pleases the casual fans. They controlled the narrative. They took the weekend. They didn't have to share it with anyone else. I don't see why you ever not do this if you're one of those big companies.
Yeah, I think, I think the timer was already ticking for Comic-Con. It's just been getting smaller and smaller, and everybody's really pulling out. But I think this is the final dramatic stab, right?
Oh yeah, you've been seeing more of these like offsite things where it's like, all of the, there'll be a couple of big things happening in Hall H, but if you want to really enjoy DC stuff, you got to go 3 blocks down where they've taken over this hotel and you're going to go do whatever. That has been a huge part of Comic-Con, especially in the last, I'd say, 2 or 3 years, I felt like that was major, where everyone was having these huge things that had nothing to do with Comic-Con. It's now just turned all of San Diego into a Comic-Con. I feel like we were starting to really see, especially with the success of D21, we were really starting to see
D23.
or D23, thank you.
I like the idea of the prequel.
D21 is like the cooler one that like less people.
Yeah, D21 is what you hope that you can roll. So it's
D21 spread. You never heard of it.
but I feel like we've been seeing this kind of coming, and especially now, Joe, I think you're absolutely right, because we've already seen a lot of these companies starting to do their own thing, and if they're seeing how successful this is, I think that however things start opening up again, sure, there's going to be like a couple of big panels of stuff, but we're going to start to see even more people pull out and decide it's not worth it. We might even stop seeing a lot of these, cool, where it'll just go back to being press again, where it'll be like, oh, hey, we did like this cool thing of The Boys where you can go through and be part of one of these scenes, but we're only going to do it for like 30 people in the press again. We're not doing it for anyone else where you can just go through.
I think, or maybe it's wishful thinking. I think the next Fandome, God willing, will be for a live audience. And
be nice.
for fans.
Yeah, you are missing that energy, I think.
Yeah, just 'cause I like live stuff. I like being on a stage and shouting into a microphone. But you know what? Take it on the road, man. Go to Kansas. That's where Superman's from. Go to get it out of San Diego. Get it out of the West Coast and put it somewhere cool. Imagine if DC just plants a flag somewhere. And some city gets like that San Diego infusion of tourism dollars, or it's a total nightmare for the locals. I don't know.
Or it's a total nightmare, yeah. Or it's a logistical pain.
with Hall H, it was also just practically speaking, Warner Brothers / DC would always present on Saturday in like around noon, and there'd be a bunch of cool announcements, and everyone would go crazy. And then at 5 or 6 p.m., Marvel Studios would go. And it would steal all their thunder, even if they were kind of equal cool announcements. Yeah.
Why would you want to do that? Yeah.
The same day, you're like, you lost. Like a few hours later, Marvel Studios goes last, and they get all the last word. Yeah. Why do that?
Bias. That's insane.
Yeah, let everyone just talk about DC for a day.
Whereas now they get to own Fandome to Fandome.
Yep.
And whatever they decide, dropped my mic. And whatever they decide to put in between it. I think we've been going on this recap enough. I know everybody's got stuff to do. Everybody's got work they need to go do. Eric, take us out on this Bill and Ted goodness. Thank you guys for watching, and check this out. Eric, set us up.
Yeah. Much like Billy's love of Tim Burton Batman, although I love that too. Bill and Ted has meant a lot to me my whole life, and so it was really cool to get to do the virtual junket, my first virtual junket, for Bill and Ted Face the Music. And while it was a brief conversation, I was extremely happy to talk to Mr. Keanu Reeves and Mr. Alex Winter, and kind of, I went full fanboy on this one, guys. I'm going to say I was not asking hard journalistic questions. I was just like, I love you. So that's my interview with Alex and Keanu.
Check out Eric asking about Keanu and Alex's eyes. Bye, guys.
Bye.
How you ask us so?
Be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes.
How's it going, guys?
Good, Eric. Good to see you, man.
Nice to see you as well. I have mentioned this to Alex on Twitter, but Keanu, my personal history with Bill and Ted goes back to summer '88 when I got to see a test screening at the Sherman Oaks Galleria as a kid. I obviously have stayed a fan. Can you talk about what it's like to see this movie still resonate? These characters are still so popular and meaningful to generations at this point.
Yeah, it's really unique and extraordinary. I don't have any other experience in my life that's a project that's 30 years, started 30 years ago, and here we are. It's been really cool to see, other people who had seen the film when they were kids, who then have kids and have shown them, their kids, the movie, and it's just really cool.
Alex, was there a point where you realized, this is sticking around? This isn't dissipating in popularity?
We had a lot of fans that would come up to us, and over the years, all the time, every day, everywhere we are, even popping out of closets and things like that. But as the years went on and you started to get more kids coming up to you, little kids, so clearly parents were showing it to their kids. I think for both of us, that seemed to really sink in as it being something that stuck around. But the fans are really what kind of blew wind into the sails of this third one and made it happen. And it really wouldn't have happened without them. It sounds like kind of a party line cliche. You know, we don't have giant studios behind us, and it really wouldn't have happened if the fans hadn't really demanded it.
Now, I was on the set for your movie last year. I watched you guys film the scene with Holland Taylor where she basically explains the stakes.
Step forward. A song created by Preston Logan, performed tonight, will save reality as we know it.
Oh. Can you talk about that scene and Bill and Ted's mood going in versus the reality check that they face?
You know, Bill and Ted always kind of put their best foot forward, and of course, you know, it's where they receive the message of their kind of the new quest of responsibility, and which is a very kind of huge responsibility, and then kind of tighten up their bootstraps and tackle the problem.
Yeah, it was a fun scene for us because Bill and Ted by nature are so optimistic and hopeful, and even though, you know, not to spoil it, you know, Ted as usual is a little ahead of the game and at the beginning of the movie and realizing that things are really not going so well. It isn't until that moment when we're standing in front of the Supreme Leader, and Holland is so fantastic, and we're so lucky to have her. And in fact, I think that was really one of the scenes the guys first pitched us was, you know, what if we're brought back to the future, only they don't love us there anymore. That's cool. Like, we knew when we first heard that would be a fun scene to play.
I know I share the sentiment of many that this feels like the right movie for right now when people want to feel good. Keanu, do you feel the same way?
I think we always need Bill and Ted, and maybe more than ever.
Yeah, I think that, you know, obviously the film wasn't made as a message movie, but the inherent themes of Bill and Ted and their characters are really genuinely about friendship and fellowship and being kind to people and being kind to yourself and to each other. And I think all of those things, especially right now, are good to hear. And the film is very much about the whole world coming together and the need for that. And I think that is also not the worst thing in the world to be talking about at the moment.
Well, guys, it was great talking to you. Love the movie. I watched it twice so far. I'll be watching it again.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks. Take care, guys. Bye.
Okay.